Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Let's Talk Headlines series. I'm your host Jay, and this is The Objective. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the 31st episode of the Let's Talk Headlines series. Today's a special episode. Some of you who are listening on SoundCloud may not know why, but I'll tell you, because today's my very first video cast, meaning that this podcast that you're listening to is on YouTube. For those of you on YouTube, hello. Nice to see you. Hope to see you again soon. I hope you liked the episode. Today we're going to try to stay under 10 minutes. That's usually my goal. There is quite a bit that I want to get through, so let's get to it. I typically have a quote of the day. Today I don't have one prepared, but I did think of one that I recently used in a Instagram post that I made. And these three words came to mind, okay? These three words came to mind. Important words, especially in light of what has been revealed to us these last few days with the Judicial Watch FOIA request. The three words are politics, perverts, justice. Politics, pervert, justice. And a lot of my listeners, a lot of people who may not even listen to the show, believe this to be true. When you insert politics into an entity that is supposed to be apolitical, it's a recipe for disaster. And I would go as far to say that if it continues, you're pretty much on track to literally and completely and absolutely destroy the credibility of the justice system. As it stands today, the justice system, in the eyes of many, including minorities, people from different statuses, low income, they don't have a lot of faith in the justice system as it stands right now. I'm not denying or affirming as to whether those sentiments are true, valid, derelict of any statistical merit. I'm not making that assumption or suggestion at all. I'm just saying that the judicial system as it stands, even before all this political nonsense, wasn't really held in high regard. And a way to guarantee it stays that way is to continue to allow politics to squeeze its head into the business of a government justice. What am I trying to say here? Basically, what I'm trying to say is that a way to continue destroying the credibility of the justice system and the legal system is to continue to allow and turn a blind eye to political influence in, let's say, the FBI. Okay, so recently, Peter Strzok, I hope I said his name right. It's spelled Strzok. I know some people say Z instead of Z. It's the same thing. All right. We're going to call him Peter Strzok. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. This name, some of you may remember from some recent breaking news broadcasts. I don't know if CNN has broken the story to the degree that it deserves. But Peter Strzok is the investigator on the Mueller team that was dismissed and actually taken off the investigation because there were texts that surfaced from him. Basically, he sent texts to his mistress that were anti-Trump and pro-Hillary. Now, you may say, so what? But let's be honest here for a second, okay? We're talking about an investigation into the president. Special counsel investigation. The reason you get a special counsel investigation is because you want to make sure that this investigation is done thoroughly. It's done without political influence, and it's done in an unbiased, impartial manner. Okay, this is why you get not investigator. This is why you get a special counsel. Okay, that's why Bob Mueller was brought on. Mind you, since they started 5 months ago, $7 million has been spent. So we'll touch on that a little bit later. Remind me. So the reason why you get a special counsel is because you want to make sure that there's no political sway in your investigation. Okay. Now this came out where one of the lead investigators, the investigator that in fact interviewed Michael Flynn. Okay. It's obvious now that he has a political leaning. Whether or not that sways or influences the way that he does his job is not for me to say. But in terms of optics and the way that it's perceived and credibility, where the FBI's credibility right now is in tatters, really, it doesn't look good from a perception point of view, public perception. But the interesting thing is Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. Basically, Judicial Watch, they did a FOIA request to the Department of Justice to obtain documents relating to the Hillary investigation, her email investigation, and they stonewalled for a while. But Judicial Watch, they kept on pushing, right? It was a legal and a lawful request. The things that they obtained from the DOJ, although heavily redacted, they were able to see that there was in fact a cover-up and a scramble to find the person that basically not whistleblowed, but the person that pretty much brought to public attention that there was a meeting between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch before James Comey came out and said that they would not be laying any charges. Okay, so there was a scramble, and it's important to know. This is a lot of information, guys, and this is all off the top. I haven't really put it on paper or anything. I'm just talking to you guys right now. Here's another thing. I have a question for you, and I want you to answer in your mind. What's worse, okay? The first thing, I'm giving you two options. Gross negligence. What sounds worse? Gross negligence or being extremely careless? Give you about 5 seconds to think about that. You don't even need 5 seconds. Gross negligence sounds worse. And it's important to know that Peter Strzok amended James Comey's statement, where James Comey was going to say that Hillary was grossly negligent with her email servers and with her emails and all that. And that would have constituted a criminal charge. Peter Strzok changed the wording from grossly negligent to say extremely careless. He brought it down a few notches so that it can justify it could be justified that they refuse to proceed with charges. So you're seeing a bunch of pieces and a bunch of clues that are really starting to smell, right? And we're not even going to bring up the fact that the lawyers in Bob Mueller's investigation, they've all donated substantially to the Democratic Party. I mean, there comes a point that regardless of what you think of the president, whether you think he's an idiot, a crook, a fool, there comes a point where you have to come to terms with the facts, and especially things that are being revealed where there's material evidence of what I'm saying right now. There comes a point where you have to say to yourself, something smells. So on Instagram, I posted the FBI has been compromised. And yes, that is a provocative statement. And by no means do I mean the FBI as a whole. I have no evidence of that whatsoever. However, there are clues and there are hints that we are getting each and every day that suggest that the FBI has been, in terms of the Bob Mueller investigation, that there is some conflict of interest and their credibility is eroding. Okay, not to mention that Bob Mueller and Comey are good friends. Not to mention that Peter Strzok also, not only did he do an interview with Michael Flynn, he also did an interview with Hillary Clinton during the email investigation. Okay, so folks, let's be objective here. All right, that's the point of the channel here. Let's be objective. Let's weigh the information. Let's weigh this information that we have and really think, sounds a little strange. Something's going on. Quickly before we end the show, the Supreme Court rules 7-2 in favor of the temporary immigration pause. May 15th, 2017, I did an episode on the Court of Appeals proceeding on this travel ban. Okay, if you want to check it out, it's either on YouTube or SoundCloud, episode 13, I think it is, on the travel ban. And in that episode, I said, literally, there's nothing unconstitutional about this executive order that the president wants to implement. However, the Democrats did, as they continue to do, including with the tax bill, healthcare, they stonewalled, they were obstructionists, and they pushed it. They fought tooth and nail to make sure they can stall this temporary immigration pause as long as they could. But it reached the highest court in America, the Supreme Court, and it was ruled in favor. There were 2 justices that ruled against it, and there were 7 others that ruled for it. So I'm very interested, and like I said, my colleague and I, we argue a lot about this kind of stuff. We're both very interested to see why these 2 justices voted against. Now, these 2 justices are liberal leaning or left leaning, but still, it does raise a question. Why did you vote against it? Sorry, excuse me. I think I burped. I don't know if that mic picked that up. It's a good mic. But basically, one thing that my friend and I were mentioning to one another is that when it comes to the Supreme Court and making a decision, it's their job to interpret the law. So whatever decisions they make now in relation to cases, it pretty much sets a precedent, meaning that if a similar case comes up, they will look back to the decisions they've made previously. So I think it's very important, and it's very necessary to consider these rulings and pay attention to the things that are being passed through the Supreme Court. And that's why it was such a huge victory for the president to pick a Supreme Court judge, Gorsuch. A lot of people undermine that decision and that victory for him. But we're talking about someone who will influence laws for the rest of his life. Okay. So anyways, guys, I really do appreciate you coming to check out the channel. I hope you appreciate the content. A question I have for you guys. Do you like when I keep the videos to about 10 minutes? I know sometimes I go a bit over. Or would you prefer if I go really in depth? 30-minute videos, 25-minute videos. What would you prefer? What's your attention span like? And the reason why I kind of keep it at 10 or try to keep it at 10 is because I understand attention spans nowadays. 3-minute videos are a little long for us, you know, so this is one of the things where if you're cleaning the house, doing the dishes, whatever you're doing, just put the video on, put it on your phone, put it on the counter, and as you're doing whatever you're doing, just listen, right? Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Objective Podcast. Remember, folks, make it your objective to be objective. Have a good night.